Fun fact, my speech was actually longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign. What?
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geeks, The Prototype, and this is our annual coverage for the Game Awards, one of our industry's biggest nights of the year that isn't E3 or Summer Game Fest or Tokyo Game Show or the Game Developers Conference or here's a game development held in some guy's backyard. I'm Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone here on stage. I'm joined by my co-host from the lovely land of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Alex, the tired or wired producer. I'm not exactly sure right now.
One or the other.
I had 3 energy drinks yesterday to stay up to make sure I got all the notes right, and I'm on 1 coffee today so far. So you might find me sticking to the ceiling at some point.
Good job. And we are also joined by the lovely Garden State aficionado who loves his anime. We are joined by...
It's Ken from This Anime in the jankiest setup I have ever created because I'm not on my regular setup today.
So yes, guys, we are here at Twig. This is one of our last shows of the year. This is the podcast where we typically talk about what has happened at the Game Awards. We might share a little bit of our thoughts about the year overall in gaming. And I got to say, I'm glad the finish line is in sight. We have one more show you're going to hear tomorrow. And then you might hear a couple more things between now and the end of the year between me, Dave, Alex, and I have a review of the new Avatar game coming out at some point soon. Once we get a chance to dig into the meat and potatoes of Pandora. And so I'm going to throw things over to Alex as he's been the one who's been throwing this together. So I'm like the girl in the blue Muppet dress, and I'm going to throw things over to our main MC for the evening, and I'm going to throw things over to Alex.
Yes, hail Satan. What was that? Oh wait, no. That's a different.
Wrong show.
That's a different.
Wrong
meeting,
podcast.
Different meeting later on. Anyway, yes. So this was the first Game Awards since 2019 where I really had any company to watch it with. I had my brother come over, and my old roommate Matt came over, and for the first 3 years that I was with Twig, the 3 of us would watch it together, and it was nice to sort of get the gang back together. We did a potluck thing where I made like some chicken low-fat meatballs with honey garlic sauce, and my brother brought a pizza, thin crust one that everybody could share. My old roommate brought salad and a fruit bowl, and we had a good time. And like we actually had more fun because this was, I would say, a more middling. You know, there are some highlights, some lowlights. It wasn't like overly crazy exciting, except maybe a few little parts for certain people. But it was much more fun watching with people, and I think that's going to be moving forward how I do this, because otherwise, you know, I wouldn't have been laughing nearly as hard as I was when we were making fun of things happening within the show. But one thing I noticed was, as they did in the actual presentation, Jeff would sometimes rattle off 3 or 4 awards at a time for the, I guess, less important in quotes. Even though I don't want to say that, because, you know, people that
we're
work
not
on
assholes.
Games, yes, everybody that works in the games, they worked hard and they deserve the credit, you know, due when they win. But you can tell things that weren't going to get the viewers were the ones that they sort of rapid fired through. And in that sense, we're going to do the same now. We're kind of going to skip over discussing a lot of the esports awards, mostly because in us talking previously, we don't really know a lot of the people that were nominated, the categories, the games. It's kind of out of our realm of expertise, right?
Yeah, because like the only thing I know is Call of Duty. I had a very, very passing interest in Overwatch, but now that the Overwatch League is done, League of Legends is not my thing. I know some of the personalities in the esports space, but unless you're a Call of Duty creator, I don't know who you are. I didn't recognize a single name on there.
And for the most part, the streamers, the competitors, the content creators that we individually all follow aren't the people that are getting nominated for these, right? For the most part. So,
I mean, like I knew most of the content creators that were nominated this year, but again, you guys are not in that kind of loop.
yeah, it sounds weird, but it's like it's weird that we're too busy with the stuff we get for review to to follow a lot of other creators. You know what I mean? It's kind of
You're too busy. This is the creator problem. You're too busy creating to follow to watch any
and that's it. Like
creator.
it's not a humble brag. It's just the truth. Like between that and then other things that we're doing in our lives, it's like I can maybe understand who some of them are, or maybe I've heard them in passing. So we're not glossing over them because we don't think that they deserved it. It's just that it's not something we really have strong opinions on either way. So congratulations to all the winners of those categories. That being said, I think we'll start by mentioning the award for innovation and accessibility. Now, this one could have gone a few different ways, but it ended up being Forza Motorsport winning, which I was a little bit surprised of. I was a little surprised of, and then I went, no, wait a minute. There was a big innovation push with them. What wasn't there? So
yeah, like I remember them really pushing the assist driving mode. There were some members of the visually impaired or the blind community that were really happy with a lot of the things that you could do with it. So just the fact that it was able to accomplish all that, that's pretty cool, honestly.
And fully, they designed the controls and everything in mind with using that Microsoft Xbox accessibility controller.
Access controller.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, it makes perfect sense after thinking about it. Best adaptation went to The Last of Us. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody.
Oh God, no.
Unless you thought that maybe Mario would win. When here's my argument.
I think it stood a chance.
My argument is
The Last of Us is widely considered by people who don't even follow video games some of the best stuff.
Yeah,
in
and
television. Period.
Adaptation does not mean that it has to be a straight port from small screen
one to one. Yeah,
and that's why people are saying Mario should win. But let's be honest here. Take the nostalgia goggles off. Was Mario in the same league of cinematic art as The Last of Us? And the answer is no.
Absolutely not.
No, not even. Not even close.
So it's probably what was maybe the runner up, based on, I guess. Actually, no, I don't think. I think most of the great reviews were that it's a fun time and all this, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was good art.
Yeah, it's not a good. It's a fun Mario piece of media, but it's not a movie, or it's not an experience that makes you feel. Whereas The Last of Us does.
If it was Toy Story 3 quality, then yes, it probably would have won. But it wasn't. It was just good. Whereas The Last of Us adaptation wasn't just a straight 1-to-1 script port. It was transformative for the better. It somehow, in some ways, the story, especially when you think of a couple key episodes, were better than what the game was. And that's not something you can't say that the Mario movie was better than the games.
Yeah.
So, kudos to them. Congrats. I know that season 2 is finally in pre-production. I think they start filming, is it March?
March or
March.
February. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad that Pedro wasn't there, but he's like the most in-demand director or actor right now in Hollywood, so it's no surprise that he wasn't there. But it would have been nice if he could have gone up on the stage with Neil Druckmann, right? But still, now we're not going in any particular order other than what we found some of these online with, but most anticipated Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think that was a given.
Of course.
Like the only one that could have given it a run for its money. Like in my head, I'm waiting for Yakuza, or Like a Dragon. But the reality is, it could have only been the Star Wars game. But I think people are apprehensive because it's Ubisoft, and it looks good, but they don't want to be burned. And also, this is right around the corner, so of course that was going to win best multiplayer. Baldur's Gate.
That was weird.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong. It's only multiplayer on PlayStation, right?
No, it's multiplayer on PC.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then okay, sure. I thought that would have gone to Mario. Just for the idea of couch co-op, but Nah,
Well, here's the thing. The multiplayer aspect is the most multiplayer that Nintendo has ever done for a Mario game. Let's
and that's
put it that way.
that's what my thought was. Okay, but still, Baldur's Gate, good. That's we're seeing a trend here. Best sports or racing game was Forza Motorsport. In my mind, this was a toss-up between Forza and, weirdly enough, The Crew.
Yeah.
It was honestly, legitimately a really good racing game. It's overshadowed, obviously, by Forza. So, either I would have been happy with either getting it, right? Best sim strategy. I thought this might have gone to Fire Emblem, but then I realized a lot of people didn't like it. At least not as much as
I
we
didn't
did.
finish Engage.
Yeah,
I love Fire Emblem. That's my Nintendo franchise.
Yeah, I got about halfway through, and I realized I haven't actually completed it. I was like, oh yeah, and then there were some people like with their fingers crossed, going, could it be Advance Wars? And
I was hoping for that one personally.
I think I know why it didn't. It's the controversy around it being Russia.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they wanted to give a strategy, like the critics and the awards and the governing body and everything. I don't think they wanted to give a game based around war when we have two pretty substantial events happening right now in the world. And it was the reason it was pushed back a year anyway. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. It doesn't mean that
and just silently dropped.
Yeah. So I think they gave it a nomination because it was deserved. Right. But reality was, for a strategy game, it doesn't have to be a war game. And Pikmin, isn't this the best-selling Pikmin?
Yes.
So, yeah, sure.
I completely forgot this game even came out this year.
Well, Best Family Game, which was the first award given during the pre-show, was Mario Wonder. I don't think that was any surprise.
No, of course
somewhere out there, there's tens of Sonic fans, and
there are dozens of us.
There's dozens of Sonic fans that were flabbergasted that Sonic didn't win. Not to say that Sonic wasn't a good game. That was a pretty good game, but it's Mario.
You're going up against a Mario game.
You're going up against Mario. Like, the only thing that could possibly touch it would be like, I don't know. Hey, we got the guys from Playtonic to come back and work with Rare and do a new Banjo game for Rare.
Yeah.
What else could there be, right? The only thing I could see giving Mario Wonder a run for its money would have maybe been, what if Team Asobi had done another Astro Boy and it was like a full-fledged game?
Yeah.
But because there's nobody to compete. Like, the only game that could have beat Mario Wonder as best family game was another Mario game, or if Donkey Kong had
Kirby.
come out.
I'll give Mario Wonder credit. Like, the game is fun. I went through the entire game, and it's a Mario game, but this is the first step in breathing new life into a 2D Mario game,
which is good. So, Doug Bowser accepted it, and he looked super nervous, and that's why I'm reminded that, oh yeah, that's why he doesn't do a lot of public speaking or big presentations with them. He's not Reggie. He doesn't come from the
school of PR.
Yeah, the school of public relations and specifically public speaking. He's probably a really, really good businessman and really good guy to work for in the background, but it's clear, outside of having a hilarious name that matches his company, he's not nearly as comfortable.
He is a boardroom guy. He's the guy you have on investor calls. He's not the guy you bring to open the Nintendo World Store in New York. He's the guy who says, I need this to happen, and I need this to happen now.
Reggie was near the front row. They should have just had him walk up beside him just for fun.
And then have security escort him off stage.
Yeah.
That would have been a funny bit.
Yeah. Instead, you know what? They shouldn't have had him accept it, in the pre-show there. He should have been on stage to accept it and had Reggie run up behind him and then have security escort him off and just wave their finger at him.
Like, you don't work here anymore, Reggie. That would have been a funny bit.
Yeah. Street Fighter 6 won Best Fighting Game. I think that was no surprise.
I'd say Mortal Kombat 1 stood a pretty good chance here.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 was the only one that was
Mortal Kombat 1 was I didn't even consider them once it came out, all the microtransaction stuff they started doing after the launch.
That is true.
Although with Street Fighter 6, they have some amazing accessibility options in there.
Yeah.
Now, obviously not something that will be used in the competitive scene,
No.
but the fact that Street Fighter 6 has opened up that to a whole new realm of players without having to use futzy controllers or alternate setups, it's right out of the box.
I think it won for two reasons. Outside of the microtransaction controversy, it won for two reasons. One was it introduced more game modes, and two, it was the new control scheme. Because Mortal Kombat is very bare bones.
It's Mortal Kombat. What do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Best RPG was Baldur's Gate. If Starfield had won,
That would have been a fucking riot.
you would have just heard me screaming at the top of my lungs from here. Because
I was pulling for Sea of Stars for here, honestly.
Yeah,
but Baldur's Gate deserved it.
I saw that it was nominated.
I'm kind of weird. I was kind of weirded out when that happened. I was like, is Baldur's Gate 3 not going to win Game of the Year?
Well, and that's the question too. Like, I was like, if Sea of Stars wins this, what does that say for Baldur's Gate being an RPG winning Game of the Year? And then I'm doing all the math and I'm doing the all the arithmetic in my head. And I'm going, well, Final Fantasy 16. I'll be honest, wasn't an RPG. It was in a character action game, the same as God of War.
Yeah.
Liza P. Is a Souls game an RPG?
I would consider it an RPG more than
I like Skyrim.
More than Starfield.
Yeah, more than Starfield, more than Final Fantasy.
Yeah, so I was like, so you've got Final Fantasy, which it really wasn't an action RPG.
They build it as an RPG.
Yeah,
because
you have
that's
Starfield,
just history.
which really isn't an RPG. It's a looter shooter. Yeah. You have Liza P, which is a type of RPG, but not really. And then you have Sea of Stars, which is a pure JRPG, and then you have Baldur's Gate 3, which is a pure CRPG. I was like, okay, it's really only between those two. So, I mean, I'm glad Baldur's Gate. Well, I would have been happy with either. I think everybody that watched it, like, if you're surprised that Starfield didn't win, don't be, because the only trailers and things that are saying that it's a brilliant game, if you notice when they pop up with all the accolades, not a lot of those outlets you've ever heard of.
And also, some of those outlets are the exact same friggin' outlet.
Yeah, it'll be like IGN Spain, IGN Brazil. It's like, it's the same review, but just a different language. But anyway, best action game.
With IGN, there are actually different reviewers.
I know. I tease. Best action game was Armored Core. I think that shouldn't surprise anybody.
I was a little surprised.
What do you define as an action adventure game, though?
Well, action game. Like, Armored Core is clearly action. It has a little bit of story, and then it's all button combinations fighting. Action adventure, I think, requires exploration.
Okay,
Yes.
fair.
So, God of War 1 through 3 is an action game.
Action game.
God of War,
the Dad of War series is best action adventure.
Yeah.
Category.
So, or what would be another example outside of that? I guess.
To be honest, a lot of the PlayStation games are action adventure games.
Yeah. If there is an open world, it's an action adventure game. If there are set levels and corridors, it's an action game.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I would define it.
And in this, okay, and also this, sorry, to make it make sense for here, if it's an arena battle game, it's an action game versus having to find things. Like,
Okay.
Armored Core, you're in a giant arena.
Yeah.
But you're not exploring and finding secrets and solving. Are there puzzles? If there are puzzles, it's not an action game.
Okay.
Action adventure, Zelda. I mean, that was pretty much, it was going to have to
That was
win.
Zelda's to lose.
Yeah. Best mobile, Honkai Star
Never
Rail.
heard of this one.
I knew it was going to win. It's the JRPG, the traditional one, but it's
Hoyoverse.
Yeah. Genshin Impact, same developers.
Oh, okay.
Best community support, Baldur's Gate. I could have seen this go to Final Fantasy 14, but Baldur's Gate,
You are
it makes
not
sense.
beating the
14
D&D
doesn't-
nerds.
No.
again, 14 doesn't have an expansion this year, so maybe next year when they have the expansion come out,
and
that might happen.
This was the smoothest and most continuously updated and upgraded early access game ever.
They just dropped a 32 gigabyte patch.
Yep.
Last week,
that, and it's added a whole new epilogue. It's changed how you can go into the final battle. It's changed it so you can do things where if you made certain very difficult choices, it now affects that into the ending. It added
dog physics.
Yep, you've got that. Plus, it has sliders to customize the experience. I am looking forward to going through Baldur's Gate 3 on stupid mode right now, and I'm going to have fun.
Oh, that's exactly what I did.
Mike, honestly,
it is the most 1-for-1 D&D tabletop game I have ever played in my life.
See, it'll be nice to play D&D where I don't have to be the fucking dungeon master. Now,
absolutely.
No disrespect to the people that I play D&D with each week. Like, I love my friends B and Paul. They're wonderful DMs, but this is an experience that'll be completely customized to me in a world I've only really seen through everybody else's eyes, whereas this is done by an authentic Dungeons & Dragons developer and writer. I'm really excited for this. So this, honestly, I'm not surprised that it won, and it will probably continue to win as long as this game gets supported.
Indie debut game. It was Cocoon. I know that some people are saying it should have been Venba. But
that's the cooking game, right?
Yes.
Is that available on Switch?
It's on Game Pass right now.
Fuck, I'm downloading that right after the show.
Yeah,
that game looks awesome.
I did as well. So Cocoon, I can see that. I haven't played it yet, but that was sort of in there. Best indie going to Sea of Stars, I think, was a surprise, although I knew it should have won. Obviously. I went and sent a message over to the devs saying congrats, and I think they were probably all asleep because they're like an hour behind us, so it was already late when that was happening. But
didn't you have some kind of a personal relationship with them?
No, with some of the, well, I made some friends, some other reviewer friends through there, but I did help out with some of the bugs that I encountered before release.
Yeah, honestly, when you told me about Sea of Stars, Alex, this is one of those games, now that we're going to be on break in just a couple of days, I think I kind of want to dive into this game because you really sold me on it.
It doesn't take that long to beat. You can customize the difficulty however you want. There's so many ways through it. You're going to have a blast. And because I 100%ed this, I didn't just 100% it. I helped other reviewers that were having trouble figure out their problems, and then I helped.
You scared the devs because you completed it so quickly.
I completed it so quickly that when I contacted the devs and asked a question about something that was endgame or post endgame, they contacted me and said, "Wait, you're where?" And then they're like, "Well, they didn't know how to respond." And then somebody else figured out what the secret was after, but they were surprised. Like, I finished it. We had the game prior to release, and they were expecting reviewers not to necessarily even hit that before release. And I just spent 3 days basically not sleeping playing it. And I'm like, hey, when this and this and this happens, what am I supposed to do here? And then paused response, tech support guy's like, no, that's not a glitch. And then head of the studio contacts and goes, how were you there? I was like, I played. And I showed a screenshot. They're like, oh. And then it was funny seeing that half of like 20 other reviewers start asking questions in their review forum or their Discord specifically for review people. It was basically for asking if you have glitches or technical errors or if there's something like freezing. Some people had little errors here and there that had to be fixed. And watching about 30 other people start asking the same question, and I'm just like, and what I'm talking about is I found an error, a problem with the PS5 version where certain crashes were happening, and I was sending in reports to them, and then to the point where they then said, "Oh, give us a minute," and then they ended up having to work with the game engine team because there was a problem with the actual engine they were using.
Wow!
Which I believe is Unity.
It was, and it was a problem. They told me it was a multi-threaded process calls to the SSD on the PlayStation 5 specifically wasn't working with the API. And then apparently the fix that they came up with for it was submitted to Unity that was going to roll out in a patch of Unity's entire engine because they pinpointed it. So we'll see how it works from there. I mean, nobody's really going to be using Unity anymore, but yeah. So like, I'm very happy that Sea of Stars won because I really do think they deserved it. Best ongoing game was Cyberpunk. Is it ongoing when the game is over?
Yeah, that was a weird one. But to be fair, like, who else was going to take it? This was basically the award to give Cyberpunk, saying, "Good job, you fixed your fucking game.
Good job,
congratulations!
Good job.
This is the game that should have launched."
We know you guys worked so hard. We know that your game now is exactly what we had hyped it to be before, and we're happy for you. Here's an award to show that you put in the effort and you didn't just cancel the game.
Yes,
this was the reward for not just washing their hands of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Games for Impact was Chia. That is the game developed by a small island nation. Why am I drawing a blank? Is it Saint Lucia? Or is it not Saint Lucia? Saint. So I'm gonna pull it up because I do not want to get that wrong.
Right. But like I kind of assumed this was gonna win because of how accessible it was to everyone since it got given away for free on PlayStation.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's New Caledonia. I believe it was created by like a government fund to raise awareness for like the environment and everything there. They couldn't be there to accept the award, so it was accepted on their behalf by was it Shuhei that was there for that?
Yeah, it was Shuhei.
Which I hadn't seen him in years. Like, I mean, he was he's one of the like most senior people at Sony. I think wasn't he moved into a division as like the head of indie development for Sony?
Yes, he is the head of indies at Sony.
So he went up there, accepted the award on their behalf, and that dude, when he smiles, you just can't not feel like happy. He looks so happy all the time.
Yeah,
it's very genuine.
He's an infectious human being.
So I'm happy to see that not everybody has completely disappeared from Sony. Upper management, he's over in the corner there, just like yay, indie games. So I'm glad that Chia won because again, that's going to actually help them. Maybe work on another project that can do more for their island. And then we're getting into the stuff that is a little more, I guess, up our alley. Yeah. So best performance, which was actually the first real award of the main show presented, was Neil Newbon. Neil Newbon from Baldur's Gate. He was Astarion, the sensual vampire.
And has some of the best performance, some of the best like hilarious lines of dialogue in the game. Like, everyone has great lines of dialogue, but some of his lines are just
And at first I was like, I would have liked Ben Starr to win because he had a lot to do with what was...
Ben was very good.
I was pulling for Cameron from Star Wars myself.
And, there wasn't a poor choice at all in this. The only reason I thought Ben Starr was like, he had to do 3 different ages of his character. He's in every scene, but then I realized Astarion has like probably 10 times the amount of dialogue overall when you think about just all the variations, and because every single quest could have different versions of them saying different things depending on who's in the party with them and what choices you make. So that would be exhausting. So I'm glad that he won, and he was wearing some sort of kimono or something when he went up on stage. He looked like a samurai.
Yeah.
So yes, congrats, and again, congrats to everybody because like the performances, I think this year felt like everybody stepped up their game.
Yeah, really did.
Best audio design ended up going to Hi-Fi Rush, which
this was such a hard category too.
Because
to be honest, this was Hi-Fi Rush's to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you'd think so, but then you'd think, is it going to go to something more like Dead Space is good because it's about the spatial audio. Alan Wake 2 would be the ambient or ambiance. Spider-Man had great sound design, but not necessarily anything.
Nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, Resident Evil. So it's like, okay, Hi-Fi Rush. This felt like the, hey, you're not going to win the other awards, but we want to acknowledge that you are a great game. To me, the game is entirely about audio design. So this is almost a way of saying this is almost like a secondary indie award. It's like you're the best. You won best audio design, but guess what? Your entire game is audio design. So does that not make you like the best game? Best score and music was Final Fantasy. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody.
I kind of surprised Hi-Fi Rush didn't get this, actually.
I think maybe because it had a lot of licensed music.
Maybe.
Alan Wake 2, good. Baldur's Gate was good, but Baldur's Gate didn't have overly memorable songs. It was like the music benefited added to what you were playing, but it didn't like stand out. Where there's like 3 or 4 songs in Final Fantasy that you're going to think about.
I mean,
it's
after
soaking. You're done playing.
It's soaking. Like, the man is the modern day savior of music at Square.
Yeah. So, and then I guess Zelda, but Zelda's more of the same. Also, who's going to accept an award when Nintendo refuses to explain who actually wrote the music?
Yeah, I mean...
Nintendo Sound Team. The only reason you say that is you don't want to give credit to somebody who might leave the company.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Right? Credited to the Nintendo Sound Team. What composer doesn't want their name attached to the music that they make?
Well,
yeah.
Also to be fair, like, I believe I pulled... when I pulled the soundtrack on the RIP, I believe they credit there's 4 or 5 different composers that are credited.
Yeah, so there's not really one key person.
Yeah.
Best art direction was Alan Wake 2. Again, could have gone to any of them.
I'm kind of surprised Liza P didn't get this, but Alan Wake 2 looked really freaking cool. I can't even deny that.
It's like it was either Alan Wake 2, Wonder, or Liza P.
Then best narrative, Alan Wake 2. Here's my argument. I knew it was going to go to that. As nobody told me, but I'm saying Phantom Liberty was an expansion. Yes. Final Fantasy had one of the worst actual stories from any Final Fantasy. It was fun and exhilarating and good to look at, but it was a poor story. It was Game of Thrones with a bunch of throwbacks.
With monsters in it.
With some very obvious slavery is bad.
Yeah, it was too ham-fisted. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just it shouldn't have won narrative. No. Marvel Spider-Man 2, the story's kind of bland until the last quarter.
It's predictable. It's a story we've seen 1,000 times before.
Yeah, from what I know, it's weaker than the original.
The shorter, the Miles Morales game, the shortest game of the 3 has the best story.
I'm kind of surprised Baldur's Gate didn't get this.
Here's my argument as to why it didn't. There is no narrative. There is and there isn't. There is
no legitimate the chunk of the actual story that is the main story isn't the actual story. The rest, it's everything else around it.
Yes, the main story is about 2 hours long in a 100-hour game.
Yeah,
of things that have to happen in the game. Now, you could make the argument, best narrative, you could have best writing, whatever, because there's 7 ways to do each thing, and there's 20 different things or 30 things you have to do, but you might do them completely out of order or in a way that doesn't make sense, that no longer has a cohesive, straight storyline. And Alan Wake is, here's a curated story. We're going to send you down a path and, mess with your mind and keep you guessing and keep you, compelled as if you're watching, some sort of movie. Whereas Baldur's Gate is a choose your own adventure. So that's why I think that I knew that Alan Wake was going to win, because it takes a special kind of script and direction to make that kind of a story work when you're comparing it to something like a Baldur's Gate. Game direction was Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2.
And for the same reason.
Yes.
It's one
I mean,
person's vision.
this is Sam Lake's baby. He
Yeah.
is he has been planning this for a decade. Quite literally. He has said, I started writing this 10 years ago.
So like Zelda, how can you win best direction when I don't think purely open world should have direction winners.
I will say Tears of the Kingdom was directed by one of the newer people at Nintendo. He was given the keys to the kingdom and he did a decent job.
Which is good. It's so open like when it's here's a sandbox,
yeah, to be fair, like Tears of the Kingdom, I will say, one of the best Zelda stories. The problem is that game didn't want to end.
See, that's what I mean. Like, direction also means knowing what is the right amount of time to be spent doing each individual thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mario Wonder, game direction, that I don't know how game direction. It's art direction mostly for that.
Yeah, if it was gonna win, it would have won for the art direction.
Spider-Man 2, same deal. Spider-Man, they're fantastic games, but it didn't do anything except the only thing that breaks out of the mold that you could say is cool direction is
playing Venom, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean we're not spoiling anymore. It's all over the net now. Is that there's the one part where you play as Venom, but it's for one mission.
And then there's where the part where you play as Miles's girlfriend who's deaf. Maybe?
Which was cool. That was cool, but again, comparatively, Baldur's Gate, the direction. If there was a category specifically for game production or project management, then it should have won because it's the scale that they had to make everything work in. But Alan Wake 2, again, Alan Wake 2 is the game direction should really be the category for the auteur. Who has the vision? Who has the vision for the game? And that's what this was. Player's voice was Baldur's Gate because
no surprise here.
Everybody kind of knew that because you could see the results of each voting time, and it was way ahead. So and then
I figured for here it could have gone. Baldur's Gate would have been obviously this was the category for it to lose. Spider-Man 2, I'm very surprised it didn't. I don't know. Zelda, tons of fanboys.
Baldur's Gate sold more than Spider-Man 2.
Oh wow! Genshin Impact. What the fuck is that doing here?
Because it's Genshin.
It is there for everybody that doesn't play regular games, and I don't say regular games like, here's the thing. It's there for the people that don't play anything but mobile and arena games and clickbaity stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. Genshin, it is the best core gameplay of any mobile title on the planet, and I respect Hoyoverse for that. I don't like gotcha bullshit.
Yeah, this was there. Like, it feels like the player's choice one here was for everybody, like, because if like 90% of their audience is in Southeast Asia, it's like this is the Southeast Asia vote.
I know one person locally who plays Genshin, maybe at most. I know 5.
I knew a couple, and they stopped playing after like 3 months. They're like, okay, I'm done because there's nothing here.
I follow a couple of people that play Genshin. Well, they moved over to Honkai at this point, but
at least it wasn't nominated. Well, it could have been worse. The nomination could have been like, what's that stupid game, Nikkei something or other, the mobile game where it's future soldiers and people are controlling these jiggle boob and butt robot girls that are just blowing up aliens, and that all they do is you keep paying them money to get girls with bigger boobs, and that's like one of the biggest games right now on mobile. It could have been that
Never
crap.
heard of it.
Yeah, it could have been. I'll send you a video for you to look at and kill yourself laughing at how bad it is.
Right.
By the way, they offer. I'll tell you right now, I don't care. It's a Chinese company. They offered us a sponsorship, and I said no when I saw what the game was.
Well,
it's a predatory game.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we talk about the releases. But there's one Chinese game that is the one that everyone's looking at. Like, maybe this is actually going to be good.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah. But yes, regardless, Baldur's Gate 1.
Yes.
And then Game of the Year. This is where it could have, like, the default go-to would have been Zelda, except when we saw how much Alan Wake and Baldur's Gate were winning. And then my thought was, as soon as I saw that Alan Wake won narrative and direction, I was like, it's Baldur's Gate, because this is the award for what is the best package.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Baldur's Gate is the best package of the year.
Hands down. Hands down. Best
So-
$60 I ever spent.
So, I mean, cool. In some ways, this was a very predictable year. In other ways, there are aspects here where it was like, don't fuck with me. And I mean, good. I'm glad it won. At least this wasn't the year that Overwatch won.
Yeah.
You remember that shit? Like, that won best game of the year. But yes, so that was cool. I'll say this before we get into the next little section here, which is sort of just briefly going over some of the things that were announced. We're not going to go over everything, because there's stuff that was shown that was like just a CG trailer that doesn't tell you what the game is going to be. There's a lot of stuff that was shown that's like, oh great, arena shooter / live service that we're not going to care about. So that cuts out about 50% of everything shown. But what was interesting was, outside of the pre-show's first thing being shown, that was the remake of Brothers, was it Tale of Two Sons? From was it Joseph Fares? Is that his name?
Yeah,
his
Joseph
company.
Fares is
He wasn't there.
No, he was.
Usually he flies out. He wasn't there, as far as I could tell.
He's based in Jordan, so.
Is that where he was? I thought he was either there or he was in Sweden. Oh, no, he used to work for a Swedish company. That's right. But yes, so that was a little surprising not to see him there, because I would have figured he would have gone there just so he could hang out. But I kind of missed. There was nobody to yell out "fuck the Oscars" this time. But yes, so the main show, or the pre-show, showed a bunch of trailers and stuff. We've sort of got a list here we can go through.
One thing I want to mention.
Yes, go ahead.
When they brought out Christopher Judge, aka Teal'c from Stargate, or God of Dad, he made a joke about Call of Duty, about his speech being longer than the campaign. You would be surprised how many devs that pissed off on Twitter.
Well,
because I was
fucking bad. Too bad, because it wasn't. It was one of the few jokes that worked.
I would say somewhat in poor taste, and here's why. Considering how many layoffs and things have happened during crunch during the last couple years, for a night that was supposed to celebrate the games industry, it might have been nice for them to acknowledge certain devs that have been laid off this year, or devs that have experienced massive amounts of crunch.
The fact that there wasn't any mention of it at all.
There was a protest outside of the Game Awards. I saw some pictures on it today. And
I don't want to put words in Jeff's mouth or anything, but this was the most heavily Xbox sponsored show they've ever done when it comes to commercials as well as reveals from them.
And no shit Hydrobot either.
I have a feeling not that they were told not to discuss it, because a lot of these layoffs and things and stuff are happening for companies that are now under Microsoft's umbrella, that there was just an unspoken rule of you don't talk about it. Whereas Christopher Judge, who seems to only work for Sony, can say whatever he wants.
Although I did find it kind of funny. He's like, oh, there's a company I'm never going to work for. It was just, there's a Twitter account, Charlie Intel, which covers a lot of COD stuff, was like talking about it this morning. And I was like, but I can't say that I disagree with you.
Well, you know what? It's like, you can be upset all you want. Then you know what you do? You could turn around and make a fucking game that's worth paying money for.
Yeah.
This was free DLC that they charged $90 for.
Yeah.
And it's not me saying that, their player numbers are showing it.
Actually, this is one of the bigger years for COD when it comes to multiplayer. That I can say.
That's the thing. Here's the thing. There was literally a couple of conversations at my local game store. We were talking, and it's like literally were like, COD is like in the worst shape it's been in years
Yeah,
in terms of its single player
Yeah.
content.
Oh
So,
yeah, for
he-
fucking sure. I do
didn't-
not disagree there.
And here's the thing: he didn't bash COD as a whole. He bashed the part that's really bad.
Yeah,
This is objectively the worst single player campaign and year they've ever done.
oh, completely agree. Like I wish
So they
I
shouldn't
wish
be
the
upset.
devs could have fought back and said, "We're not releasing it. Give us the time to do things right."
Well,
but
and-
Activision being Activision, what do you want, right?
And if
Yeah.
Phil doesn't like it, if anybody within Activision doesn't like it, too bad. You have to take that shit because you thought you could get away with this.
yeah, like having to crunch a 16-month dev period to shit out a full game. What do you
Yeah.
expect? If you expected premium DLC, yeah, maybe. I mean, like we did in our extended review, we said, and because this was documented in multiple places,
Yeah.
if this had been premium DLC for Modern Warfare 2 at $40, yeah, sure, why not?
If
But
this had been
to charge-
if this had been a $40 expansion DLC, he wouldn't have made the joke.
Yeah, 100%, 100% agree.
So that's
Yeah,
why
so that's one thing that I noticed.
I understand you want to take pride in your work if you're a developer, but you know what? Take your lumps. And if
Yeah.
you want to be mad, then you know what? Maybe you should unionize. If you that's the only way you're going to get power there. Maybe you should.
This is the only way, and I will not be surprised in the next 5 to 10 years we get a full unionization of the
Especially-
gaming industry.
I hope so.
Or at the very least, within the 50 studios that Microsoft has.
Oh, 100%.
So beyond that, now stepping off of the high horse,
Yes, go on.
Yeah.
we'll go. I'm going to skip over some stuff. Except, did anybody play Inscription?
I was not able to. I haven't picked up Inscription yet. I know it's very good. I know of Pony Island, which was his first game. And hey, Pony Island 2, cool.
This looks like wacky Undertale stuff, and I'm interested.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Pony Island 1 was wacky Undertale stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna skip over some of the stuff that we see here.
Yeah.
Thrasher. That is the new game that when it popped up on screen, the first thing I yelled at was Res 3.
I mean, it's technically similar games.
And then it devolved into my old roommate having to explain to my brother what the trans vibrator was. Because he
The
was
other game-
when that old Screw Attack video went viral about it, my brother was like 9, so he had no idea what it was.
The one thing that looked kind of cool just from the trailer, I'm very curious to learn more about this game. I think it was called Usual June. That looks kind of cool, but again, don't know much about it, but it looks neat.
Oh yes,
so
that's
it's got my attention.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the next game, Finji. That's the dude that made Tunic.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that's right. There's that. That looked kind of cool. Thrasher is the next like musical res, kind of like Fantavision and that stuff. I think you're like tracing the music or something.
Yeah, something like that probably. Because Thumper was more of a lane-based system, and this looks like more of a going through the musical line, whatnot.
Looks trippy. Mike, take a bunch of weed gummies and then play that shit.
Yeah.
Be like,
it's
what's
that kind of
happening?
game.
I can
It's
see,
that kind of game.
I can see and taste the color. No, Persona 3 Reload got a final trailer ahead of the release, which I didn't bother watching because I'm just going to play.
It looks cool. Yeah.
Then World of
Reg
Goo
and
2.
Dave.
World of
See,
Goo
I
2.
thought this was
Yes.
Patapon.
I was so excited. I was just like, as soon as it started playing, I'm like, is this what I think? It's World of Goo 2. Holy shit.
Which I thought there were already a second game of that, but I
Nope.
got that and De Blob confused.
Yes.
So that looks cool, and they made a joke about it, how it's like 15 years late.
Yeah.
Reason I remember everybody playing that was there really wasn't anything good on the Wii at the time.
And
it was-
also,
I
and all,
I
and
seem to
also
recall
with-
it being in every used game store.
Yeah.
And then also, World of Goo was in a lot of early Humble Bundles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then they showed off actual gameplay of Metaphor ReFantazio, which is still the most stupid title ever, and I love it. From,
Yeah,
from Persona.
it's so Atlas.
At first, when they're like from the creators of Persona 3, 4, I was like, they're showing 6 here, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, this isn't 6. When I saw that it was the Zero team,
Fantazio, yeah.
and then I'm watching this, I'm like, it's got both action-based combat and turn-based,
Yeah.
and weirdness and all that. I'm like, okay, I'm down, and I forgot also that it's an Xbox exclusive.
Yes, this is the Xbox exclusive game.
Did it say Game Pass, or was it just?
It is coming. I'm pretty sure it's coming to Game Pass.
So we'll check that out at some point. I'm happy to see that. Exodus. Here's where I got some backstory for you, and I'm glad I do. So this was when they brought up Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right, or as he put it,
Yeah.
pew pew pew. He announced that he's going to be in this game, and they showed it off, and it had Transformer sound effects. That's what we noticed right away. Baver sound effects. So the reason it looks like Mass Effect is it's made by the Mass Effect dev team.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Not BioWare. From all of there's like 3 or 4 key people that were poached from BioWare when EA did all their layoffs. And right before they even did the layoffs, the key members of this team was poached. This is the dev team that Wizards of the Coast set up.
Yes. When I saw it, when I was like, I was like looking at, I thought I noticed the Wizards of the Coast logo and had to rewind the awards, and I was like, yeah, that's Wizards of the Coast. Holy shit.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 years ago, this team was formed, and they didn't announce what they were making, but they hired. I'm going to double check right now because this is going to be something very important to you and me, Michael. It looked a lot like what Mass Effect Andromeda was supposed to look like.
Oh,
Kinda, yeah.
So it was. Let me see here. Exodus game.
Also, when McConaughey showed up, I was just like, oh, this is probably an Austin dev because he's McConaughey's semi-retired. He's spending time with his family and he wants to stay in Texas. So
he picks and chooses whatever projects he wants to do.
And this is a lot better than him trying to peddle weird things on the shopping channel that he was doing, or whatever it was, or his like coaching thing he was trying to do. So Archetype Entertainment, they started by Wizards of the Coast, subsidiary of Hasbro. So they were created to develop games and properties outside of Dungeons or Magic. They were created to make new franchises to use for video games and potentially new RPGs, like new tabletop games. So Archetype is notable for having talent drawn from BioWare. The studio head, James Olin, was the original Baldur's Gate, one of the original Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, two developers. Yeah.
Like old, we're talking old school BioWare people.
Yes. And Drew, the most recent hire for them was Drew Karpyshyn. He is the guy that was the writer on Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights. He wrote the original Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, and was one of the key. He's the guy who was the head writer and wrote both Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Oh, very cool.
And he's the writer for this game.
Yeah.
And the studio head was the guy that was the producer for there. And then the other guy that they brought in, Chad Robertson and somebody else, were the key senior developer programmers on Mass Effect 2 and 3. So there's a reason it looks like Mass Effect. This is the Mass Effect that we're going to get probably before the actual Mass Effect.
This is the Mass Effect that they wanted to make.
And it's got McConaughey, so cool. Anyway, then they announced the God of War Ragnarok Valhalla roguelike, which I'm not a big fan of, but
I'm so sick of fucking roguelikes.
Hey, I like them. I know I'm the one odd man out in this.
Oh, my brother loves that shit too, and it's coming out in 5 days or 4 days now.
Next week,
free.
yeah,
completely
that's
free.
pretty cool.
So
And it's like an epilogue to that game because God of War Ragnarok was really good. So much so, I'm considering going through it again, mostly because I forgot where I was. I know I was near the end game. I'm thinking, well, if I went through it again, now I'm going to get something a little bit extra. So why not?
exactly.
So that's pretty cool. And the fact that Teal'c just happened to be in the audience, why not? So
Yeah, and the Goose Game has a new game in development, but it's completely different. I thought it was Patapon, and then I thought it was like the music was like Luminous or the music from like Tetris Effect, where it's like ho ha ho ho ha ho ha when they're walking around.
Yeah.
I don't know much more to say on that because until we see more, but it's coming out in a couple of years. The Ghostwire Tokyo lady came out.
Well, not just Ghostwire. She was the art director for Okami.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
she,
yeah.
one that's like it's spooky. She left the company before the game came out, and then I guess she started a new company.
Yes,
and
she
yes,
started a new company that is art focused, artists first kind of.
Okay, because to me this
you can tell from this game like it is art focused.
The only problem is the trailer to me screams arena shooter, arena battler, and I don't know if I want to play that. It looks cool. The Ori and the Forest developers are making a like Zelda style game or like Diablo game.
That's interesting to me. It looks cool.
It looks like a 2.5D like brawl, like fighter battler game, and like when I saw Moon Studios, my eyes just bulge out. Like what?
So we'll see more of that March 1st. I think they're going to do a showcase for it. They didn't say what, but I'm going to assume they said see more March 1st. I don't know. Are they a big enough studio to do their own event, or is that sort of signaling that we're going to see something at like a State of Play or at an Xbox event?
I mean, maybe
they could do something big on Twitch, maybe.
March
also
1st. March 1st.
They might say, "Hey, we're releasing this in early access for 6 months,"
or
something like that.
March is kind of maybe when Nintendo might want to show off a new game console.
That could also be a possibility.
So who knows? Something's going to happen the first week of March. Yeah. It sounds like
we will get more information before that March 1st date.
So a random what I thought was a commercial turned out to be the second coming of Sega.
That was such before we were on call. Mike had to rewatch it. But started
because it totally threw me off.
They announced 5 games in one trailer and more, which means there was talk of up to 10 games might be in development, and people thought it was going to be like, oh, it's a super game, maybe it's going to be a hub world where you then play a bunch of random games. No, it is right now at least 5 individual full retail games in development. Sega for the last 6 or 7 years has really just consisted of Phantasy Star Online updates, the studio that does all the Like a Dragon games, and then surviving off of Atlas. And now they're like, this to me is like, oh, are we getting a Dreamcast too?
Well, they also shuttered their entire arcade division. Yeah. So all those devs probably went into these games.
So it's literally like a renaissance. Because it's not just these 5, it's and more. These are just going to be the first 5, and we're probably over the next year going to see more announced around the same time.
And I will say that new Shinobi game looks really dope.
And
like, I love the art direction.
Yeah, each game has a different art style, and this is not like Konami putting out Contra bullshit that looked like garbage, played like garbage. These are internal studios developing Sega titles like they used to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I am in this for Crazy Taxi, especially if they get a really good soundtrack for it. Golden Axe could be that's
Golden Axe
cool.
Looks pretty good.
And Streets of Rage, if they do it like we reviewed this title a couple years ago. Yeah, if they do it like that and keep with that vibe and energy, it could be a really good franchise to just keep going.
What's great is I know a lot of people that were hyped just for the second that Jet Set was shown, and
Yeah.
then they're like seeing Shinobi, they're like, wait, what the hell's going on? And then when it shows Crazy Taxi, everybody's like, oh, what? They're all different games. So
there was a great reaction that I saw of one of the old school gamers that I watch on Twitch. He was just like, "Was that Golden Axe?"
yeah, and like a 3D Golden Axe that looks better than any 3D Golden Axe ever attempted to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dragon Ball, this is all you, buddy. This is your Budokai 4 or whatever, right?
Yeah, this is...
And they switched to the Japanese naming convention.
Yeah, so this is going to be Sparking Zero. This is the latest entry in the Budokai Tenkaichi. This includes characters from Dragon Ball Super. We saw Jiren. We saw Bergamo, which is a new character who we saw in the first little bit of Dragon Ball Super in the Tournament of Power. He's the wolf guy that people have wanted in like Xenoverse 2 forever. This looks fucking cool.
We got Super Broly.
Yep, it looks like we're going to get beam battles. You can dodge super attacks now. I am really hoping they do things like Ultra Ego Vegeta. It would be great if they brought in stuff like Moro and Granola. If they start to adapt stuff from the manga, maybe we'll get Black Frieza.
What about Farmer with a Shotgun from episode 1? I'm surprised that the art style is like, what if they took the cartoon art style of the fighting game and then used and then used all the background stuff is like photorealistic, like Lumen and Nanite or whatever it is.
I think it's running on Unreal.
It's Unreal 5.
Yeah, it is Unreal 5.
The backgrounds are using photorealistic backgrounds with cartoon characters on top, and that's cool.
Yeah, this game is going to be sick.
It creates this great art style to it, and it just pops.
I don't buy many games physically because what's the point anymore? I've got a digital console. I may buy the collector's edition for this one.
It's not easy to swap the discs out.
Exactly. When you don't have a leg to walk across the room. But yeah, this is one of these games I am super hyped for. This was definitely a highlight for me in this show. Because we've been hearing rumors about this in the Dragon Ball community for the better part of a year now.
They announced that there was a new Tenkaichi Budokai coming. We just now know more about it.
Yeah, like we saw a teaser for a teaser where it was showing Goku going into Blue Kaioken, and that was it. But there was Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and there was Sparking Zero, and there was nobody knew if the names were synonymous with the same project. Like one of the Dragon Ball guys I watch is a guy called Burkle, and he's been talking about it forever. So I am super excited for this. This looks like it's going to be awesome because Xenoverse 2, it's still being supported, but there's a next gen version coming next year. But it looks like they're starting to wind down support for that game in certain ways. But that game's been supported for like 7 years.
And also Fighters is finally getting its rollback netcode.
About fucking time, because that game's also fantastic and is always for sale. So yeah. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about this. I am super hyped for this.
Well, like you've got that, and then like. We're gonna skip the next thing here because Dead by Daylight. I don't know if enough was shown.
Player, I kind of care.
Yeah, that's why I was on the fence about talking about it because of that. I'm like, is it gonna be good?
Before the Game Awards, they announced that it was happening, and then we got a trailer at the Game Awards. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, wait till we can see more. Basically, Rise of the Ronin was shown more. This is the one for the.
I originally thought it was going to be the next
Wulong expansion.
No, it was going to be the next
Ninja Gaiden
Tsushima.
Well, when I saw,
oh my god, don't get my hopes up, Ken.
When I saw it was Koei, I was like, oh wait, didn't they announce 2 at the exact like this and Wulong they were announced at the same time, and I got them confused initially.
Right.
So I mean, it's a second party title, and it's coming out exclusively March. I know people are upset. It's the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'll play this as opposed to Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah,
Mostly
probably.
because Koei Tecmo likes us. But
Yes, because we'll probably get a review code.
I mean, it looks interesting. I like these samurai types of games. Now, I did get my ass kicked with Wulong last year, but eventually I got good and I finally beat it.
To me, the difference here is this might be, even though it's going to be hard, this might be a little easier because this is actually under the PlayStation Studios banner.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's good.
There's going to be more options, I think, with this. Skipping that one, Kojima we talked about. Or no, we didn't. Kojima showed off his Google Stadia game that was scrapped and was brought over to Xbox.
Oh, the one where it's just people screaming?
Yes.
Yeah.
This they're not saying it here. This was the game he was working on for Stadia.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
it looks interesting. Sure.
he had to take it to a company. Like, the reason he's at Microsoft is not because of any brand loyalty or money. It's he had to take the project to somewhere that could handle it, and it was either that or go to Amazon. And you think he wants to release anything under the Amazon Games banner?
Yeah, under Luna? Fuck off. Not gonna happen.
So
I was surprised to see Jordan Peele there, though.
But again, he likes working with directors, right? So,
and also he has been shown to have met with a whole bunch of other people, and he said there are more collaborators on this project, and hands down, it's all the people that he's met in the last last few months that he's shown off. Like, hey, I met this person. Hey, I met this person.
Udo Kier's looking hella old. I know that was like a Unreal 5 model of their faces, but I was like, is that Udo Kier? Or is that supposed to be him? It's like, oh yeah, he's old as shit now.
Oh, yeah.
And the first girl was the lady from It.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fortnite, Rocket League, okay.
That looks okay.
Well, again, all these acquisitions that Epic has made to put into Fortnite are coming to fruition now, and they're rolling them out in the next couple of weeks.
There's that.
Because
There's
we got Lego. We got Lego Fortnite, which is basically Minecraft.
Yeah, you got the rocket racing one. Black Myth Wukong. That's the Journey to the West game.
That looks cool.
It's got a date.
This is the one Chinese game that might actually be a good game.
Because this is the first time it was shown working at 60 FPS without stuttering.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
So, coming out in August, I'll keep an eye on it, because when anybody else go ew when they saw like the centipede giraffe neck lantern head,
I was wondering. I was like, "What the hell is this?" But it looked neat.
I was like, ew, centipede looking thing. Now, a little bit of local stuff, Michael. Maybe we'll have to contact them. They showed off a new Warframe game.
Yeah. And they got a chance to speak with Jeff. I was like, that's pretty significant.
It's a Canadian studio, so they automatically get a chance to talk with Jeff. But they're the one that's based out of London.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought so, yeah.
And to me, was this not showing off as if it was like a single-player game?
I would wonder,
No, they have a single-player game coming.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure if it was this one or not, but I didn't know how big that Digital Extremes is. I know that they're
freaking huge.
Yeah, like I played it for
they literally have a convention that takes place in London.
That's the thing. I didn't realize like 20,000 people or more attend.
Yeah, Warframe is stupid huge. I'm like, all right.
I played it once for like 20 minutes when I got my PS4 and there was nothing else to play, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I didn't know that it's become one of the largest online games. Like, it never gets nominated for these ongoing games, but they have like a super dedicated fan base.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're when I say local, I mean, Mike, you and I and Blair could hop in a car and we'd be there in about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yep. I just went to go visit my cousin when she was in the hospital in London. That was a pretty easy drive, actually. So yeah.
As more of this comes out and we see more, maybe we'll have to see if we can get in contact with him up for an interview or something. Because to me, there wasn't much to talk about their stuff in the past because it was just the same game. But they've got more stuff coming, which is neat.
Yeah, Yeah, they've got some interesting things that I follow people that follow Warframe, so there's stuff that has popped on my radar, mostly the single player stuff that they're working on.
Yeah. Banishers, Ghost of New Eden got a new trailer. It's coming out in February. I have 2 weeks
me and Alex are both excited for that game, so
The only problem is I have 2 weeks to beat Persona, and then I have 2 weeks to beat that before Final Fantasy. We'll go from there. Tales of Kenzera Zhao. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. New EA original, which I'm still glad that as an evil corporation as EA could be, and everybody complains about. I'm glad that they still have this program running, and this looks to be all about different African gods and lore.
And it's also the dude that introduced it, Akbar Salim. He's this is a personal project for him.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks like that new Prince of Persia game.
Yes. Very much so.
Mixed with a little bit of I forget that engine that they use, but the Rayman Legends.
Yeah, possibly, but like
the Ubi Arts engine or whatever it was called.
Yeah, but it also it's also coming to Switch, by the way. I saw it pop up in my subscriptions this morning for Nintendo, so I mean, coming to Switch.
We'll keep an eye on that one. That looks neat, and that's the kind of that's the size of project with a unique vision that EA Original should be funding, not Avium spending $100 million and then people get screwed out of their jobs. Yeah, this is the scale that they need to do this, and the stuff that Joseph Fares was doing. That's about keep the budget.
Joseph Fares is about as far. As high the bar as you can make it.
The budget needs to stay under 25 to 30 million.
Yes.
And this to me looks like something that probably costs 5.
Yeah, something like that.
And they will not lose money on this game. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
If they market it right. Then we had the part where I almost told everybody to leave the room so I could have time alone, which was Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which is the first new Don't Nod adventure game since, I guess
they concluded Life is Strange.
Well, yeah, they left Life is Strange. No, I guess they did Twin Mirror and they did the other one. They did 2 in the same year, but they haven't done anything like that since. And there had been talk that they had a couple of these in the works. This looks like Stranger Things in their own style.
Yeah, I immediately was like, "Oh, this is very Stranger Things."
And if you watch the little Easter eggs in it, the VHS tapes and stuff that they're watching, every once in a while they slowly rewind. I'm like, oh, they're bringing back time rewinding from the first game. That's why they keep mentioning it's from the team that made that. Even though Square Enix owns Life is Strange, and they have, I think it's Deck 9? Is that the company that makes making I think another one? So it's like I get more from all these teams. Yes, more. So yes, we'll find out about that sometime next year. Have
we talked about Jurassic Park yet?
We're getting there. I'm sort of
okay.
I'm sort of I'm skimming
jumping all over the place.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that.
I just want to point out first Berserker Kazan. I love the art style. This looks totally my jam. Nakon's actually publishing it.
Yes, so we'll see what happens there. I was going to save Jurassic for later, Michael, because I figured you'd be going nuts over it.
Oh yeah.
Now this, I'm going to say something. It comes on the screen, and I blurted something out that made my brother almost fall out of his seat and made Matthew drop what he was eating. We were about 10 seconds into the trailer, and I just yelled out loud. I'm like, "Is that just Mia Khalifa?" And then they're like, "No." They're like, "I'm like, no, I'm serious. I'm pretty sure I've seen that look on her face before." And then that's when they just died and fell out of their seats. And then we look online. It is her.
Really? That's the actress who's doing it?
It's yet to be 100% confirmed. Other outlets were reporting in the notes that that's who it is.
That's cool.
And that there are all these people, like Reddit, she was trending. that people are like, is because she had said like 2 or 3 years ago that she was going to go into mainstream acting. And if not the voice, it might be she's the character model.
That's cool.
And now again, I don't want to spread rumors. It's just it hasn't been confirmed, but I'm talking like that's all anybody was saying. And literally if you went to some fairly reputable outlets, they were reporting on the game mentioning this, and it says and it would say with looks like Mia Khalifa as the body actress apparently. And I'm like I said it as a joke, but it's like that's all that people were thinking about. But yes, I figured we were going to save this for a little later. But Michael, what do you think of a survival horror game, Jurassic Park?
That is fucking sick. I am so excited for this. Like, it's set during the first Jurassic Park, so you're on Isla Nublar. It looks fucking cool. I'm so into
when
this.
When I was doing some research on this game, I was like, wait, there was a canceled Jurassic Park survival game. Maybe this is the revival of that?
Maybe.
I mean, it's Saber Interactive, so good on them.
Yeah, so it could be good. It could be. I don't know. It looks high budget, and regardless if it ends up being her, if she ends up being the actress or not, it got we were all in stitches laughing because I'm like, this is what she does for her first acting thing. I was like, Jurassic Park of all things. You know, the voice didn't match, but you know, it's happened before where they've used body models that are different. So who knows? If not, this actress looks remarkably like her, and you know, there's going to be so many spoofs and memes about it. Because I was like, it can't just be me being crazy, and that's where my mind went, and it turns out everybody's mind went there basically. So beyond that, the Dishonored devs were there to show. They said a new game from Arcane Leon, and I'm like, okay, is this going to be any good? Nobody else at my house.
Here's the thing. Arcane Leon was not the people that made Redfall.
Team. No, but they are the people that made Deathloop, which was boring looking, and kind of ended up being kind of mid for a lot of people.
Well, you don't like the art style that Leon likes to use a lot.
I didn't like the concept of how they I didn't like how they executed their concept in it, and that's kind of what a lot of people were saying. It got kind of. It was a neat experiment, but yes, I fully admit that they are a really talented team when given the right direction, and nobody else figured it out. They're inside, and other people in this house. First thing they said was, "Oh God, they're not trying to make like a patch or sequel or expansion to."
Yeah, I saw multiple reactions of people going, "Wait, is this a Redfall DLC?"
And then they right before anything happened when I'm just seeing them sitting there, and I turned to my friend and my brother and I went, I think this is a Blade game. And they said no until he stood up and turned around, and they're like, holy shit, you're right. And yes, it was a Blade game. Like, so Marvel is branching out, and I was like,
well, the thing was, this leaked and people were going, that isn't true.
Like, this is gonna and they're gonna be both Microsoft and Marvel are gonna be so hands-on. This is gonna be the most polished game that Arcane's ever put out,
hands down.
So there's that. I mean, that's at least good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Beyond that, let's go.
Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 got a date.
Yeah, we're skipping over stuff that might look cool, but also didn't either have any gameplay or kind of looked like it would be live servicey. So if your favorite thing that you saw isn't mentioned here, people, sorry.
Exoborn was X Division people, and it looked like it.
Yes.
It looks kind of cool. I like the idea of, busting out a window during a tornado.
Yeah, the only really big the only really big VR thing that was shown here was the Asgard's Wrath 2. And I'll mention it, Asgard's Wrath was the killer app if you didn't have a Valve Index for years.
And they also announced that if you buy the Meta Quest 3, you're going to get this for free.
Yeah. So cool. It looked decent. Um, Light No Fire.
Yes,
That
this is
no
fantasy No Man's Sky.
no, it's No Man's Earth instead of No Man's Sky. A procedurally generated world, and then you explore the world. That's I think at the scale of the actual Earth.
Yeah, basically that's what they want. Um,
So instead of billions of boring stars to fly through, you could spend a year traveling a life-size Earth.
yeah. I mean, like, this basically is like, okay, we spent a decade working on No Man's Sky. We're going to take all that stuff and put it into this game. So
And
hopefully it isn't as bad as when No Man's Sky launched.
yeah, when it launched, and especially since it looks like there's lighthouses, it looks like it's going to procedurally generate things, but that within the world, there's going to be clear goals to
Curated
do.
stuff, yeah.
FF16 DLC they announced is out. Guess what? Your boy bought it and can't download it because the PlayStation Network, as of this recording, is down. The network is up that you can play. The download server is completely dead, and it's been now several hours and they haven't fixed it.
Yep.
So basically, the Game Awards broke PSN because how many people went rushing to buy things,
Yep.
which is, I guess, good in some senses. Uh,
The finals got shadow dropped.
Oh yes, I don't even know what that is though. Oh wait,
It
yes, I do.
is a
Arena
destruction.
shooter.
It's Rainbow Six Siege destruction meets kind of like a kind of an objective based heist game.
Yeah, and cool. Monster
Fine,
Hunter,
I guess. Sure.
Monster Hunter World 2. Scratch that out. Monster Hunter Wilds was announced. Well, I mean, we already knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You know what's
and-
funny?
and also
when this
none-
trailer dropped,
Yep.
I was watching this with Blair. She looked at me like, "Is this fucking Star Wars? Because if it's not, I don't give a fuck." And walked out of the room.
There, pretty much for you and I. But
Yeah.
to me, from what I gather, is it open world, like
Yes,
proper
it is.
open world?
It is an open world. It is the next Monster Hunter world.
Okay.
I know a lot of Monster Hunter fans in my life, and they're super excited about it.
Yeah. Can I say something interesting though that maybe I'm off base on? The
Sure.
graphics don't look that good.
Well, this is the thing. Monster Hunter. Have you seen the Monster Hunter games early on?
I kind of was hoping they would have switched to the RE engine.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
But
But
I
again,
mean, it looks
maybe
better
that's
than all the
maybe
others.
that's the net because again, this was in dev simultaneously with Rise.
Yeah.
So maybe the next Monster Hunter after this will be on the RE engine.
I thought it would have looked at least as good as Dragon's Dogma, or number 2, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. That being said, maybe we'll get a Monster Hunter Stories 3 in RE engine because that can be a little more curated
Ooh,
with
that'd be-
smaller. Because
Yeah,
it doesn't
that
have to
would be
look like
very nice.
realistic, but just that engine.
but
could do
it would also like show off just how versatile that engine is.
exactly. So I mean that's cool. Oh yeah, and it wasn't in the show, but there was a Baldur's Gate ad that
Shadow
went out.
drop.
They shadow dropped the Xbox version launched right as they won the Game of the Year, and it went on I guess on all social channels, and there was like a commercial
But
on
also-
YouTube for it.
And also, just so you know, the physical version of the Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3 will have 3 discs.
Yes, because Microsoft doesn't put any of their games on UHD discs, even though the system requires
Yes.
them, requires the drive for it. So it's 3 50 gigabyte discs. I think they fit everything on.
Yeah.
And the PS5 version is, I believe,
2 UHDs.
yeah, it's I think not 2 66 gig discs. I think it's one 100 gig disc and one 66 gig disc. So, yay! And that's basically everything that was sort of shown. No, not everything. Like there are some things that we skipped over, but that's everything that was sort of important to us. I think that there were some really good highlights that were, catering to us specifically, but there wasn't anything that blew us away. I think it was very smart not to have GTA 6 at the show.
Yeah, it would have overshadowed everything.
And I will give BioWare / Electronic Arts one kudos in that they made sure that people kept thinking that there was going to be Dragon Age there, because they had said in the summertime it went gold, and that they were done. So, but yet their talk is now, that they weren't going to be ready for this. I'm like, they must have found something wrong, or they must have done something, or maybe their QA, whatever. But they released a little teaser trailer just saying, hey, yes, the game is basically done, but we're going to show you more in the summer, basically Summer Games Fest, or at what is it, EA, was it Livewire they call it or something, whatever they do there. They're
doing something.
They skipped this year entirely. They had nothing to show in the summertime for any of their games, but it looks like they're planning to have something come back next year. And again, this was smart, because then there's no speculation of what they're going to show. This was basically confirmation. Hey, we don't have anything to show for Mass Effect, and we don't have anything to show for Dragon Age, but don't worry. We're going to make you a little thing and show you that, hey, coming in the summertime, great. Because I think people would have been talking more about the fact that EA had nothing to show here except for that EA Originals indie title.
Yep.
Did you notice that Nintendo had basically nothing?
Yeah, Nintendo is sitting on a big event in January or something.
Yeah. I think the next time we see anything from them, it's new system at this point.
Yep, hands down. There's
and
nothing.
then Sony, some cool stuff, but nothing big. Xbox.
What we did get from Sony, the more prominent stuff we got from Sony was all the marketing that they're doing for Avatar.
Oh, and Square seemed to have a bigger presence here than I was expecting.
Oh yeah, Square. Well, Square is popping off right now.
Yeah, brand new Mana game. It looks like it's actually got a full budget, like full budget. And then there was the crossover with Apex Legends, which nobody cares about. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy. Oh, and I guess we may as well mention a couple of things, which are the musical performances. There were a couple that were good. They did the Nobuo Matsu's brand new theme song, and they showed too much. I actually had to shield my eyes from some of it.
My brain is going like, okay, so apologies.
Yes.
My dog is freaking out.
It is okay. It is okay. We did not hear dog, but yes, they were showing a little too much, I think, from the game. But regardless, good performance there.
All I can say about the way that song is worded, like the lyrics of that song, I have a basic idea on how that game is going to end.
Exactly. Me too. And we're not going to talk about it until we actually play it. There was a performance. Oh, they showed off Hellblade 2, or is it? Yeah.
Hellblade 2
or whatever. Yeah.
So yeah. Guess what? They still don't have a firm date. Meaning,
they don't have a firm date. What the fuck?
They are now 3 years behind when they thought they were going to launch.
Yeah. Meaning
this has been in development for 6 or 7 years, and they don't have a date yet.
Yeah, this is not good.
2024. They're not even saying late 2024. I don't think they're going to make 2024. They had that performance. There was the one for Final Fantasy. The ridiculous. Oh, we were crying laughing at the one from Alan Wake 2.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like the song.
That whole song is the opening level for Alan Wake's part of the story. It is insane.
Because they had a song, like a rock song sort of thing in Control, one of the last missions. But to me, I didn't play these, and all I could think of was in Control, when you go through all the different rooms, sometimes you can put on these VHS tapes in these rooms, and you see these weird plays and things that happen.
Oh,
and I was like, is this like something that happens in the background of one of the TVs, and they just did a full performance of it?
No, actually, it's an entire level. That is the opening level for Alan Wake's side of the story.
Okay, so if I ever get to playing that, sure. What we couldn't stop laughing at was the choreography. I know it was bad.
Here's the thing. That choreography is playing as live action footage in the game.
But you know what I mean? Like it's obviously not professional dancers on purpose, and that.
Yes.
But it was the shaking of the hands that we couldn't stop laughing at.
Oh, it's hilarious.
And and then when I blurted out, I was like, "The fuck is this?" And people started laughing in the house here, and I said,
Here's the thing.
I said
There was a great comment in a couple of reactions where it's just like, if you did not play Alan Wake 2, you have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
But all I said was, "Wow, the budget for Power Rangers has gone down since Heim left the show." Because all I saw, I said, "What kind of third-rate tattooed teenage aliens from Beverly Hills putties are these?" That's what it looked like to me. And then they just like the dancing and the lip syncing, because it was clearly not. It was pre-recorded. Like it was so. Yeah. I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yes, this is what I wanted. I wanted something terrible like this." And then
to be fair, like the cringe of it is the point of that sequence in Alan Wake. So.
I very quickly figured it out, but at first, my initial response was, "What the fuck?" And I was like, and I was thinking, like, "What, Jeff? What are you doing?"
To be fair, the one thing that I said, if they didn't perform this at the Game Awards, what the fuck was the point of the performances at the Game Awards?
Yeah, that's true. And I will say this this is unfortunately the most disappointing year for the Game of the Year medley ever.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
It's the only dud. Every year has been good or had highlights. Every song sounded the same. I heard no differentials between it. The only highlight here was that Flute Man played like 5 different gigantic size flutes. And yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. So that was the Game Awards. Like, I know that we've got a pretty stacked next few months. I'm just going to very briefly, because we've sort of gone over what we thought was our favorites. Like, was there any game, just quickly, either of you guys, that wasn't nominated that was maybe your game of the year, or one of the game, or a game or two that you played?
Yeah.
One game, I don't even know what category you could possibly put this in, considering the category was so stacked. Peter Weller coming back as RoboCop in Rogue City would have been cool, but you're not beating anybody in that category. I love you, Peter, but it's not happening. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other games I really played this year, because I played a lot this year.
While you're thinking, I've got a couple here.
I'm thinking, honestly, I wish Spider-Man 2 had won something, but it was more of the same, which isn't bad. It's just you had to compete against so much. Now, the kid who played Miles Morales, Shamar something or other, I can't remember. I think it is. It would have been nice to see him get nominated in that category for best performance. You could have maybe put him over Cameron Monaghan, who was the kid from Jedi Survivor. Maybe you could have said that. Resident Evil 4, very surprised it didn't win something. Very surprised. Good game. Was it Game of the Year material? Sorry. Yeah, other than that, this it was a good year for gaming, because I remember when this year started, we thought this year was going to suck.
Yeah.
And I'm very pleasantly surprised.
I mean, for me, I've only got one to mention. I played a bunch of different games. There's indie, whatever. I know later on I'm going to remember something and be like, shit, why didn't I talk about it? But to me, the biggest surprise here was that Octopath Traveler 2 was not nominated for RPG of the Year. Not saying it should have won, but why was Starfield in there over that? It didn't get a single nomination, and this is a problem. Unless you're Final Fantasy VII, releasing in the first quarter of the year means you almost get no nominations.
And Hi-Fi Rush only stayed in its categories because that was the game.
What else did Xbox have?
Nothing, sadly.
One thing I can say I'm glad didn't get nominated. We didn't see any of the Harry Potter bullshit this year because obviously it was way too hot.
No one wants to touch that with a 5-foot pole.
Regardless of your position on anything related to it, outside of the game itself, the game very mid. There's nothing really good about it. There were Twitch drops for like a month, and then it just vanished. It was for super fans and super fans alone. That's it.
Yes. But some of the games that I want to highlight that came out this year, Gumbrella.
Oh, right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there was more indie titles. Yeah, that's right.
Melon Journey, which I did for review, and thank you, Alex, for picking it out of the hat, because holy shit, that game was awesome.
When I was offered it, I was like, I don't even know if I have time to do this, and I went, wait, maybe Ken would like this.
We have other monkeys who can work for us.
Yes, dance review monkey dance.
And honestly, I do want to highlight Persona 5 Tactica. I haven't finished the game yet, but it is a great tactic game. It's a great
downloading it today.
It is a great it's a chill tactics game. It is not hard in any way, shape, or form. And it's also not a long game. It's like, I think 20 hours on how long to beat. Something like that. What
if I'm stupid? Is it stupid? Is it easy enough that I could beat it with one hand, so to speak?
You probably could.
Okay, good. Okay. Then I'm in.
Me too.
There's a stupid easy difficulty. Don't worry.
I'm in. That's all I need to know.
I've got to play that, and I've got to play Mario RPG, which I know didn't get any nominations because, honestly, it probably shouldn't have.
It's a repack.
It's a pure remake, or pure, I guess, graphics refresh, remake, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In a year that had a lot of our other RPGs. But, again, I would have rather that been there than Starfield. I'm happy Starfield won nothing because it didn't deserve anything. It is the definition of lazy when it comes to...
And the one thing I want to point out that a lot of people got pissed at when the nominations came out, Dave the Diver did not win the indie game because Dave the Diver was not an indie game.
No, you're owned by one of the largest companies in the world.
Now, to go back to Starfield for a sec, I saw this quote, and I don't know whether it's true or not, so take this with a very big grain of salt. There are more people currently playing Skyrim on Steam than there are playing Starfield.
This is true. There's more people on Steam playing Skyrim than playing on any platform combined. So there's more people playing there than people on Xbox playing Starfield.
Give me the mod tools like you did for Fallout 4. Maybe I'll go back to it, but until Creation Club comes out, Starfield's dead to me.
And I'll say one thing: it should have got a nomination for action adventure, even though I don't think it should have won, or even for accessibility. I actually do think that Assassin's Creed Mirage should have got a nomination for something.
Yeah, because it was a good game. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't like no game of the year.
That was another game that was originally DLC that they made into a full game.
Yeah, and if
that one's at least good.
If Cyberpunk can be nominated for games and it was just an expansion, and it was just an expansion, you need the original game.
Yeah.
Then at that rate, I would say that Mirage should have been nominated for something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Call of Duty was to get nominated for something, you could maybe go ongoing for Warzone, but you have to add more to that game. For example, then here's a couple of new guns, here's a couple of new skins. You'd really have to offer more events other than just here's some battle pass stuff, here's some blueprint stuff. And I'm a Call of Duty apologist. That's pretty well known on this podcast. But that's a franchise I want to see do more because I know it's capable of more. For example, me and Alex, you and I fucking love playing Cold War.
Absolutely.
I play Call of Duty Zombies on Twitch every Tuesday with the Game Heroes, and that's great. But I want more. And now that the Easter eggs have been discovered in Modern Warfare Zombies, it's cool, but it's not Cold War cool. So I don't know.
But they're also dropping new content for zombies and everything over the course of the next couple weeks anyway.
Yeah, like the big Easter egg was just discovered for the Dark Ether. It's so difficult, I'm never going to be able to do it, but it's cool that it's there. Whereas the other Easter egg with Alex and Liam, we did it, and then the game crashed, but we did it.
Yes.
So yeah, like I don't know. I hope to see something cool come out of COD. I'd like to see COD League get nominated this year because the season starts as of this recording today. Yep. So maybe we'll see if something cool happens, but I'm kind of not optimistic about it either.
I mean, there's more we could talk about, but we're going to want to start wrapping it up here. I do want to mention, some stuff coming because while we're on hiatus, do we know exactly when we're coming back, Michael, or I have a general idea?
We are coming back on January 22nd.
Okay, so January 22nd, we're back. That means we're probably back into full swing of things by the week after that. During the, I guess, hiatus break, we'll be releasing a review, probably a mini prototype of the Avatar Pandora game, because we were sent, not late codes, they came on day of release, which just happened to be a day before the Game Awards. So we're going to be working on that over the next week or so. And then some stuff to highlight in January before and during when we come back. There's a few things already in place. I don't think anything else is going to be added. That was my fear, was that we were going to have more games added to January, February. And I think they're smart enough to push things back a little bit.
Yeah.
Things that we're going to be paying attention to in the first week, nothing really in the first week that we're going to pay attention to, but the 18th of January has the Prince of Persia game coming out. Hopefully we'll get a chance to check that out. The next day is that Another Code Recollection. That's the compilation of the adventure games. Were they both on 3DS or
no,
2DS?
The first one was on 3DS. The other one was, I think,
Wii or Wii U?
I think it was Wii.
Okay. Maybe we'll check that out, but that's the same day as The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So that's back-to-back games.
Was that officially announced yet?
Yep. It's already up for
okay,
pre-order.
okay.
They put a trailer, and again, that was something that I thought they would have shown here, but they put it out separately a few days earlier. As far as things that we're probably going to want to keep an eye on, that's what's coming up before we come back, and then after we come back, we have Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth that week, as well as the same day as Tekken, and
that's fun.
Oh, right. There's that Lost Legends of Redwall.
Yes.
I forgot about that. Ooh.
That looks interesting.
And then the next day after that, February 1st, is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is the big RPG that looks like a Tales game.
Also the Jujutsu Kaisen Arena Brawler.
Yeah. Legend of Legacy HD Remaster on the same day. So that's 2 RPGs there. The next day is Persona 3 Reload and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That's 4 games that we potentially might have reviews for. And then the week after that is Helldivers 2.
You've got a third monkey here.
Yes, you can take... Okay, you get Suicide Squad.
I don't care. I'll review this
now.
You
say that now.
I'm curious to play it, but I want the
Last of Us. I reviewed Last of Us PC. That was excruciating.
Yeah, that's true. I know.
That game's still broken, by the way.
Yeah, it'll get fixed. You know it will eventually. They have to. Helldivers 2 on the 8th of February. Banishers Ghost of New Eden on the 13th. Let me see here. What else? 'Cause some of these are that have dates. They're actually for other regions first. Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the 16th. The 22nd has nothing we care about. And I think everything sort of wants to stay away from Final Fantasy, which is the 29th. Excuse me there, had to cough. And that's pretty much the first 2 months. And then in March, it's a little bit more in flux.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if Dragon's Dogma 2 moves or someone moves away from that 22nd date.
Yeah, me too. I think they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it back to you, Michael, to close out the show.
Yes.
All right,
guys. Yep. All right, guys. So, like I said, this is our Game Awards coverage for the year. We got a lot of stuff coming up. I know next week on the show, you're going to see a review I did for Botched Roll. It's a couple of weeks old just because I just didn't get around to editing it in time, but that's going to be in my interview with the Marvel Multi-Universal Role-Playing game. That's with author Matt Forbeck. We last had him on the Halo show a while back. We're also going to have another Botched Roll where I talk about my Star Wars game I'm running privately with a couple of my friends here in Guelph, and sort of my creative process into that. I'm recording a couple of shows with David Denoyer. We're going to be talking about the Cabin by the Lake movie starring Judd Nelson, which were on the USA Network in the late 90s and 2000s. Those are certainly a thing. We're also going to be talking about the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the remake from the 1970s and the one from the 1990s. We're going to be talking about those. Me and Alex are also planning on doing some kind of a holiday special. We're going to talk about lesser known Christmas specials for like sitcoms. So if it's something we can easily stream, we're going to talk about it. It's not going to be your typical Charlie Brown Christmas or the Rankin Bass stuff. It might be, here's the Cheers holiday special. Here's the one from Home Improvement or Family Matters or whatever. Stuff that you don't necessarily hear a lot of people talk about because a lot of sitcoms and shows did Christmas specials, but they're just kind of overshadowed by the Halloween ones that Roseanne would do, which were always over the top. So, yeah, we'll be talking about lesser-known ones that'll be released probably later in the month, and that'll be our annual holiday special. And then you might hear some random review content if we get stuff that can't wait. We're just going to throw it into a turd or treasure. But other than that, our microphones are more or less off until January. Don't bother me. Don't call me. If you come to my door, I'm not answering it. I'm not home. Fuck you. Go to hell. I don't need parts that badly. I'm not that sick.
I have to sleep for 2 weeks before RPG Armageddon in February, right? So, like, potentially the last week of January until the first 2 weeks of March, I won't sleep, right? So,
yeah,
hey,
it's going to be.
And I got MagFest at the end of January, so.
Yes. Good times, folks. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for us here. So we're going to trot off stage as we make fun of developers and whatnot. So as the music swells, we have been
Alex, the producer,
and Ken from This Anime.
And I've been Mike the Birdman saying we'll catch you guys again real soon, right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@ThisWeekInGeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you! I'll tell you!
Jesus Christ.